So, Saturday night, my friends, you lucky, lucky people, we are back with another clash of the Titans. Roll the titles. Hello and welcome to Clash of the Titans. My name is Jeremy Kell. This is the legend that is Michael Graham. Also the legend that is Kevin O'Sullivan. Sad news, Julia Hartley-Brewer unable to make it this week. Bless her, she's ill. We hope she gets better soon. And we've had to scrape him from the barrel of... How are you, Russell Quirk?
Well, I was OK. What an intro, thanks.
Well, we're giving him a chance.
Welcome to Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you feel like a Titan? There's your bust.
Yeah, where is my bust?
Well, I don't think you've...
So to speak.
Just below your neck. It's the one next to Kevin O'Sullivan, just right behind
I'm
you.
identifying as Julia Hartley-Brewer.
Yeah,
I
there
can
you
do
are.
that.
I don't know what you've done, but we'll listen to you later. I want to start with just one of the stories of the week, as far as I'm concerned. Reform UK. Let's salute them for raising something that we've talked about and talk an awful lot. Back in July, there was that incident at Manchester Airport. Two, I'm going to call them thugs at this particular moment in time. There was video footage that went viral of a police officer kicking one of them in the head. People were appalled. It was outrageous. The police officer immediately suspended and investigated, and then more came out. And these two thugs had actually attacked a female police officer, allegedly breaking her nose, and it had been, it's in an environment, let's be perfectly honest, you said it to me the other day, Russell, in America, right, you've probably been shot. This is an airport. These are armed officers.
Yeah.
That was July. Officers suspended and under investigation, and still the CPS has done nothing about those two suspects. Now, I don't care whether we say things that upset people or not. I'm going to beg to ask the question of the three of you. Do you think that if these weren't Muslim men, that this would have been dealt with a bit quicker? Because this is an example, surely, of two-tier policing at its worst under Keir Starmer and his Labour government, because it shouldn't matter about the colour of your skin or your creed or your religion. If you break the bloody law in this country, you should feel the full force of the authorities. And Reform, just very quickly, have raised this in the House of Commons and said, if you don't do your bloody job, CPS, we will bring a private prosecution, and it has been met with huge support.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people think it's a great idea. There's some doubt as to whether they can actually do a private prosecution. Nobody's very sure about that.
At least they're raising it.
But there's no doubt, if these had been two guys that just come off a Ryanair flight from Lanzarote, and had had a bit too much to drink, and they happened to be white, the police wouldn't have left them for any reason. They would have taken them... I mean, they did get taken off to a police station, but they would have been probably serving time in prison right now.
Do you remember that? They had a trendy TV lawyer who paraded them on television, and people are saying that maybe in terms of justice, that means that they can't be dealt with. A lot of people will watch this and go, that's a racist thing to say. But to me, it's like the Rotherham grooming gangs, and I don't care saying this either. Those kids who were raped and groomed, it took 8 years. These were British, Pakistani men. Again, it shouldn't matter,
This is a racial issue. Let's do the chronology. This attack, or this incident, happened on July the 23rd. It took the Crown Prosecution Service until August the 15th, a very long time considering the video evidence, to actually accept the file. So the police took a long time to get the file to the CPS, and now here we are, what is that, nearly 2 months on, the CPS have done nothing.
When you say a racial issue, do you think it's wrong to sit here and say, is it because of the...
No, I don't think it should be a question. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact that the Manchester Police and the CPS are worried because these guys are Muslims. And
we've seen the absolute abject two-tier approach to this incident in terms of the fact that they haven't been charged, but also, by contrast, all of the so-called rioters and those that were saying things on Facebook and so on that were arrested, charged, prosecuted and sentenced within a matter of, 24, 36 hours.
Great.
I suspect, and I don't think this is a conspiracy theory to say this, I suspect what the CPS are waiting for, because of the political influence, is for the police officers involved to be found either wanting or not. They hope that they are, and then in some way that means that they're off the hook in terms of
because the independent Office of Police Complaints is investigating.
But that will take forever.
Russell's exactly right. They're waiting for the...
Well done, Russell.
They're waiting for the IOPC to come down and say these officers are flagrant.
But people watching this or listening to this who are, listen to talk and say it's the home of common sense and free speech. We would be lambasted anywhere else for saying, is that because of the colour of their skin? We're sitting here and we're saying, that is a fact. What is wrong with saying that,
There's
Kev?
nothing wrong with saying it, but also, as well, if you look at the chronology, you talked about, what happened afterwards, but what happened before. The punch-up that we saw there on the video, that's the first thing that happens, right? There may be things that happen before that we haven't seen, but that happens before the incident where the police officer who's been suspended kicks the guy in the head.
Yeah.
Now, this is a guy who's been fighting two very, very well-versed fighters, because they look like they know what they're doing, these guys. They're not just punching the police.
Punches,
I mean, he's raining punches like he's a boxer, a professional boxer. He's broken the nose of one police officer. He's hit his own. I think he's hit one of their own people in the midst of the fight. So they had to be subdued. They tasered him, but they also had to make sure that he wasn't going to get up and start hitting them.
And let's not forget what you said. This is an airport. If this was America with armed weapons, they would have been shot. That is an absolute
or Europe,
fact.
anywhere in Europe.
Here's the deal. In this country, these brothers, their lawyer and their friends and family have constructed this case to say that their mother was badly treated on the plane and the copper abused her or something. I don't care. In this country, there can never, ever be an excuse for a private citizen to attack a policeman on duty in that manner. I don't care what the reason is.
I'll tell you what
if they were Millwall fans, they'd already be doing 10 years in
Mate, I agree. And what I find really disturbing is what you said. We saw the footage only at the time of him kicking the suspect, the policeman. We didn't see if you watch the build-up as we just played it, you can see the female police officer being booted and punched in the face and holding a noose. Why did they put only that out?
But Jezza, I think this comes from the top as well. Look,
what top? Where? Who?
So from Starmer. This is absolutely political. So Starmer knows that he needs the Muslim vote in order to maintain his government. No, he does. I know we're 4.5 years away from a general election. I appreciate that.
Maybe not that,
but
not that long.
That there's massive disquiet amongst the Muslim community because of what's happening in Gaza and the fact that certain Labour MPs, particularly Starmer, Lammy and so on, have been seen in some way not to support the Palestinian side as much as perhaps some would like. He needs to get the Muslim community back on side. Therefore, the last thing he wants is Muslims, ethnic minorities, being prosecuted in the way that even they should.
Yeah,
he's going to need those 3 million votes.
Let's not forget as well that in addition
to
to doing an investigation into the police's conduct, there was also a leak inquiry launched by Manchester Police because they wanted to find out who leaked the video of the punch-up.
Yeah.
You know,
but they launched
we
that
shouldn't have
pretty quick.
seen that because they would have much preferred it if we hadn't seen that because then they could have just gone, this is outrageous.
These aren't conspiracy theories, people. These are facts. The next story of the week, which I wanted to peep, but Kev's basically in charge of all of us here. I mean, this is even... This is worse somehow, or on the same scale. Mr. O'Sullivan, shoot from the hip.
Well, another horror story from our ongoing migrant crisis. An Albanian migrant called Ardit Binaj, 32 years old. He was in jail doing a 2.5-year sentence for burglary and theft. And was deported, quite rightly, straight away.
Good.
He sneaks back into the country.
Right, quick question, how?
Well, it's easy.
On a small boat?
It's easy.
One would imagine.
It's easy to get into this country. You can come on a plane, you can come on a small boat, you can get on a ferry.
Doesn't he need a passport on a plane?
No, you can not on a ferry, you don't. On a ferry, you can jump over the fence and you're in.
See what we are. We become Europe's dumping ground. So we now have more illegal immigrants in Britain than the rest of Europe.
So he gets back here, he marries his Lithuanian girlfriend.
Oh, good.
They have a baby.
Oh, good.
He files for asylum and the ECHR says he has to stay because he has a human right to a family. I agree. He has a human right to a family. Have your family somewhere else, not in the country where you broke the law and were sent to prison. This is insanity.
And we can't get him out.
It's insane. No, he's permanent.
ECHR. I mean, this is the debate.
Leave
and he's also now got a British child.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he can't be thrown out. There's another one today.
The
very next day, another burglar. They seem to like burglaring houses, the old Albanians, right? And so they've got this other guy. He gets done for burglary twice.
Yeah.
Gets locked up twice.
Yeah.
Gets deported twice. He's now back, right? And he's out there on social media this week filming himself driving a £300,000 Ferrari.
Right? I wonder where he's got the money for that from.
I don't think it's just from the burglary, to be honest.
Do you think there could be other things involved?
I think there might be other things involved.
It does make, on a serious note, we can get all wound up and quite rightly, we've got to bring this to the party, right? But what does it say, and I say it every day on Drive Right, what does it say to your average working class man and woman?
What does Britain get out of its membership of the European Convention on Human Rights?
Nothing.
Because as far as I can work out, the answer is absolutely nothing except a foreign court that tells us what we have to do in our own country.
There is a narrative, of course, that's been peddled by the left in the face of people like Robert Jenrick saying that he would leave the ECHR. Tom Tugendhat, of course, is out the race.
Tom who?
Tugendhat, remember him?
That's showbiz. Politics.
Suggesting suggesting that we should maybe consider leaving the ECHR. Most people actually, when it came to Brexit, just kind of assumed that because that whole thing was about sovereignty and taking back control of our laws and our borders and our regulations and so on, that we would no longer be governed by the ECHR. But the left are saying, of course, that if we leave, it means that we don't have and won't want any human rights in Britain. What a load of absolute nonsense.
It is rubbish.
We invented human rights.
We have also locked ourselves in with the ECHR because, unlike other European countries, we've actually got a law which says that we have to do what they say.
Exactly right.
Whereas, Tony Blair brought that.
But let's be clear,
I had the amazing Ben Habib on the show yesterday, and I put to him what everybody used a bedwetter, as I call them. You call them lefties. If you say to them about the ECHR, they go, "There's only two countries in the world that don't belong: Belarus and Russia. Do you like to be like that?" And he went, "That is an absolute load of rubbish."
But the United States is not subject to the ECHR.
No, exactly.
And also what it does is it says that we are not intelligent enough as a sovereign nation to know about human rights. That whole argument of we need to look good in the world, from my point of view, we need to look good to the pensioners who have paid all that money for years and got jacked.
But clear, the judges are unelected and unaccountable.
Yeah. And they're the problem. They've become insane. They make these crazy decisions. And the Tory party is on the cusp, probably, of voting James Cleverly into being the leader. James Cleverly doesn't want to be the
Wouldn't
ECHR.
be so sure about that.
Doesn't want to leave the ECHR.
Do you think he'll win?
Yeah, I do. And therefore, well, he might not. But
that's categorical.
All right, it's a definite maybe.
Yes, he'll definitely win, or he might not.
Why doesn't former Home Secretary James Cleverly, who screwed it up when he was in office, understand that staying in the ECHR will mean that the Tories will never get back into government?
There's another great one. Did you see the other great story this week?
Not another
about
one.
the ECHR, where the SAS are now in trouble because apparently, according to the ECHR, they're not allowed to kill anyone. Now, call me old-fashioned, but when you're in an SAS kill squad, you go around killing people. That's what you do.
Will Geddes put it really well to me earlier in the week. He went, "It's really simple. In that organisation, there are people who do a bad job very well, and that bad job is not about, did it upset somebody? It's about saving lives by doing things that we don't need to know about."
The SAS have got to sit outside before they go into the house or the embassy with a clipboard and do a kind of risk assessment.
Probably. That's probably what they would like them to do. But I mean, the fact is that if they now kill anyone, they're likely to be in breach of somebody's human rights. I'm sorry I've killed you.
I'll tell you a story about the SAS and how brilliant they are. He's dead, my old man, but he worked for the Queen Mother for 40 years, and he was there. Do you remember that? Do you remember when that policeman, Yvonne Fletcher, had been killed?
By the Libyans.
And then they were in an embassy, and the SAS, and his office was nearby, and he said it was the most extraordinary thing he's ever seen. They threw smoke grenades or whatever in, right? 7 of them went in the pitch dark, right? They shot 34 terrorists through the head, and not one of the 7 hostages had a scratch on them. They got them out. You telling me human rights for the SAS? They're one of the things that we should be proudest of in this country, aren't they? Don't people go, the SAS are fantastic, they're British, they're successful?
I covered the Yvonne Fletcher siege, and her hat lay in that square in London for 7 days. We just looked at it because it was in the cordoned off area.
Right.
Extraordinary times.
We've also heard from Ken McCallum just this week that we're
head
under
of
more
MI5.
threat.
I'm a bit worried about this
now.
guy, by the way. Have you seen Ken McCallum? He looks a bit young. He looks like that guy Q, the new Q, who looks about 15.
Oh no, the new James Bond Q.
Yeah, the new James Bond Q.
The scrawny,
the scrawny. He looks exactly like that. It's like this guy shouldn't be running.
He actually has bigger ears.
But he's come out this week and said we're
does.
under more threat now from Russia, China, and Iran than ever
Thank
before.
God.
Yet we're about to clip the wings of our most adored and professional.
But hang on.
How come we have a publicity-loving MI5 chief?
Why is he giving press conferences?
Well, he only does every year.
Right, I've got to go to a break. You're very good. Russell Quirk is here instead of Julia. She's ill. Stick with us. More to come on Clash of the Titans, including what? Starmer's popularity rating nosedives. That's a shock, isn't it? Following the freebie scandal. And we'll ask, why is Britain's population out of control? Why do you think that is?
You've had too many kids.
Can you stop?
All right, I'm stopping it.
It's your fault.
I might just add to you as we go to a break. Maybe number 7's on the cards. Coming back in 3. There you are. Welcome back. Clash of the Titans. Saturday night. Russell Quirk, what you got for me?
Is it my turn? OK. Labour Party Donegate. Obviously been much talked about the fact that Wahid Ali has given about £700 £1,000 so far, I think,
amazing.
to members of the Labour front bench as they are now. I guess we have to ask the question, why would he do such a thing? Is he just a benevolent chap? Is he just nice? I suspect that there's always an ulterior motive with these things. But my point with this is not the fact that Starmer's had his 32 grand's worth of clothes and Rachel Reeves has had some, Angela Rayner's had some, Lucy Powell's had some and so on. It's the fact that they took the money, not over the last 2 or 3 weeks, not over the last few weeks since they took government, but of course at the same time when they were in opposition, as lambasting the likes of Rishi Sunak for having an expensive coffee cup, remember that? The expensive shoes that Mrs Sunak was wearing, and also obviously Boris Johnson's famous wallpaper gate. So rank hypocrisy doesn't really quite cover it, does it?
It doesn't. But this week, of course, we've got even more revelations because it turns out they've now given a job to another guy who donated £100,000 to the Labour Party cause. He's now apparently on the board of HMRC. So you can clearly just buy your way into this government.
So his tax returns will be all right.
They'll be sorted. And so will everybody else's, by the way.
I didn't really understand, by the way, how Starmer, I think it was Monday, decided to give back £6,000. And they made a point of saying that he's giving back the freebies that he's received since he became Prime Minister. That surely is an admission that the process is wrong. So what about the 107,500 quid that he had whilst he was in opposition?
He's given back a 20th of the freebies that he's accepted. A 20th. So what he's essentially admitted, really, really amateurishly, is, yes, I was a bit wrong. I was kind of wrong, but not massively wrong. Well, you can't be a bit wrong. It's like being a bit pregnant. He's wrong on all...
We're back there again!
But he's also... He's not apologised. He's not apologised at all.
No,
he's only given a little bit back.
Yeah.
But now, the audacity of the man is now saying, well, I think we might need to change the rules. I think, well, hang on a sec, you had the opportunity not to do it in the first place.
The principles. No, not the rules, the principles.
Does he not, but why, as well, though, if he's spending all this money on clothes, does he looks like a sort of cross between a Russian peasant and a farmer. What's he doing?
Man from Millets.
Yeah, it's a very weird selection of clothes.
Literally this morning, you talk about other stories. I mean, front page of The Sun today was extraordinary. That they repeated the Taylor Swift story. Have you heard about this?
The blue lights.
Yes.
You're talking about it on
Taylor Swift needs to exit, and there was, let's make the point, there was some security issues that happened to her in other countries, but apparently a delegation from a management company said to the Prime Minister or a head of London, Sadiq, what's his chops, I need to be blue lighted. And they said, no. And then Starmer got involved and Khan, and you see it, she's leaving her gigs. There's 6 police cars with blue lights and 12 outriders, just like the Royals. And guess what happened then, people? Oh, yeah, Starmer got freebie tickets.
Do you think there's a connection between the free tickets and the blue lighting?
Well, because also on the subject of how safe or dangerous it was for her to be driven around, it turns out that the police had actually done a risk assessment and said it's not a problem. There's no sort of perceivable
But I'm going to twist your arm.
There's no perceivable threat.
But the further point with this as well, even though Starmer hasn't acknowledged his errors, if you like, his errors of judgment and his misgivings in terms of morality, is that his popularity as such has just plummeted.
Right.
So now he's actually less popular than Rishi Sunak was.
Also, let's face it.
But he doesn't acknowledge
when we did this show,
apologies.
this time last week we did this show, Sue Gray still had a job. Right? She was still the chief of staff of the Labour Party, basically running the government from inside Downing Street.
She's been scapegoated,
and we
we
kept getting told by Starmer and everybody else, it's a nonsense story, there's nothing in it, no truth to it. The guy just can't stop lying. You know, obviously there was something to it, otherwise she'd still be there. But she's not. She's gone.
Old Lord Wahid, you all know this, he's an old friend of mine. I've known him for about 40 years.
Have you seen him recently?
40 years.
Is that how you managed to buy your £5 million house?
He has never given me anything free, ever. However, I'll say this about him. He's just one of those people, and there are people on both sides of the political fence. He believes passionately that Labour is better for Britain. I don't think he's got anything personally invested in this, but what he has done, and I say this as a friend, is a shocking mistake to throw around his money like this and for them to accept it. What a cock.
But hang on, he hasn't just thrown his money around. This is a guy who made multiple visits to Bashar al-Assad in Syria on behalf of the government, right? Well, he spent time in Baghdad after the Iraq War. You know what he did there, do you?
Well, no, I'm just saying...
when he
saw Assad, Cameron was the Prime Minister.
Yeah, I know that.
But he wasn't there on the part of the government.
He wasn't... Government he was not there on behalf of the Labour Party. He was there on behalf of the government.
He stood up in the law and said he's not a bad fella.
Well, yes, he was. The point is, well, if he wasn't there on behalf of the government, what the hell is he doing talking...
Well,
I agree with it. I don't know.
A friend of mine said exactly what you said. He's a good guy. But here's the thing, right?
I don't care what sort of guy he is.
He's made a mistake.
Not only did he get the pass, I read this week when Sue Gray was elbowed out, that he was going to meetings with her, you know, during the transition when it looks like you're going to take him back. He was with her in how they were going to take over the
I think it's worse than that.
government.
Apparently, he was the architect orchestrating the first 100 days.
He was
also the one influencing
for them.
He was also picking... Hang on,
It doesn't look great, though, does it?
He was picking MPs, he was selecting staff members, he was seconding people from his organisation to go and work inside of Labour. I don't buy this stuff that, you know, he just wants to help Labour win the election.
It's always something else going
influence. There's something else going on.
I think he just believes in Labour, but the way he's
that is deranged
the way
in
he's
itself,
gone about
though.
it is a shambles.
But
an absolute shambles.
You should not be able to buy your way into government.
I totally agree.
Right?
Right? Absolutely
It shouldn't be
He
the
paid
case.
me 50 quid to do this because JHB's not here today. That's, didn't you? 50
Yeah,
That's fair.
That's fine.
Right, now they always
You have to give it
say
back.
you leave the best for last, and people will know that I find it right and proper to say one of the greatest broadcasters of our generation, Michael Gray.
Where is he? Thank you. I was just about to have a glass of wine. Yeah, well, I want to talk about population.
Can I just say the wine's crap this week?
It's not that good this week, no. But never mind. That's all right. I'll bring on my own next week.
Yeah.
We
won't get through the half an hour. Have you ever been out with Mike? I bought you dinner some time ago and everybody went, he'll order, but it's brilliant wine. The sommelier.
It's very nice. Anyway, look,
crack on.
I was only joking before when I said it's all down to you that you've had too many kids. I mean, I've had quite a few and so's he. So we're all to blame.
Are you saying that some of the kids are yours? That
No, not as far as I know. But look, here's the thing.
DNA on the way.
We got new figures this week,
Yep.
and we suspected that the population of this country is going up rapidly, and so it is. 68.3 million now is the official population for this country for 2023. Now, they say it's gone up by 1%. I say that's probably an underestimate. I think we're well over 70 million now, because what we know, for example, is that 1.2 million people came into the country and something like 670,000 people left. So that means the net migration is over 500,000, right? But here's the interesting bit. 300,000 of the people that left, so that's about half of them, are British citizens who have gone to live in countries like Australia, countries like
Dubai,
New Zealand,
Monaco,
countries like, English-speaking countries, Dubai, Canada, all
Starmer
of that.
free
So what
zone.
we're basically getting is we're getting more people coming into this country from sub-Saharan Africa, from North Africa and from Asia, and more British people actually leaving. You know, so the change in the culture of Britain is happening before our very eyes.
It's really
and
interesting.
it's absolutely extraordinary.
It's very interesting, that thing about culture, because again, the bedwetters get really angry whenever I say this. I totally get, don't shout at me, that if you are in a war-torn country, you probably want to come to a country that is as soft
but why do they
as
have to come here?
No. But these people are not.
I'm sorry.
Because we're as
4 or 5 other countries.
we're as soft as SHITE, right? That's why. And we lay out the red carpet to the detriment of our own people. But what really sticks in my gullet is that so many people come into this country and then spend their entire time slagging off this country and trying to destroy everything that this country has been built upon. We have to apologise for everything. And I'll tell you one thing I think about Labour. I said this week. I think they hate Great Britain. I don't think they're proud of being British at all.
They don't want to stop
Does
the
my
migrant
head in that. I'm proud of being British.
They don't want to stop the migrant crisis.
No.
That's,
I don't agree with that.
What's
No,
the difference between Meloni? Starmer goes over to see Meloni in Italy and learns how she's made great strides towards...
By being hard.
Yeah. So what's the difference between Meloni and Starmer? Says, I'm very impressed. I'm interested in these ideas. What's the difference between Meloni and Starmer? Meloni wants to stop her migrant crisis. Starmer does not want to stop ours.
Yeah.
And going back to your story, the first time we kept figures of our official population, it was 1970, and it was 56 million.
Yeah.
And now, here we are in 2024, and it's nearly 70 million. And they think it's possible that there might be as many as 10 million
But you know why?
undocumented
Because
migrants.
Undocumented.
Starmer and his sixth form politics cronies still think that all immigration is good, even though we've now got, 700,000 illegal immigrants in Britain, more than any other country in Europe. 1.6...
That's interesting that week.
That's the official number.
The official number. 1.6 million immigrants of all kinds, legal and illegal, are unemployed.
Yeah.
They're a drain.
You know, for years, all the do-gooders would say, well, we don't take our fair share. When I started doing this show, people would say to me, well, you don't take as many as France and Germany. That point you just made, we are now the migrant capital of
how
Europe.
many are in France? 300,000.
300,000.
So we've got more than double.
Because they get a tent.
And we've got a country about a fifth of the size.
Yeah.
And also, I think the most shocking statistic that came out of that was that now 1 in every 100 people in Britain is an illegal migrant.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I mean,
extraordinary.
why do we give them, free pizzas when they arrive, free 4-star hotels, free food, free lawyers, free doctors, free dental? Why do we give them
money.
free 45
money.
quid a week? Why do we give them all of that? As you said, Jeremy, in France, if
it's
they're
the
lucky,
right
they
thing
get a
to do.
tent.
But
It's ridiculous.
apart from the ridiculousness of it, and it really winds me up, people know it, I don't understand how anybody can then stand up and say, I'm going to allow pensioners to freeze to death. It is beyond me. That has to be the worst optic. That will never go away from Sir Keir Starmer. Sir, I didn't think you believed in that, but there we go. That pensioners will die this winter, his own party said, and yet you're rolling out the red carpet because apparently that makes us look good in the world. I would respectfully suggest we look crap in the real world because we're not looking after our own
Let's just put it
people.
into context. It's costing us about 8 to 10 billion just to house asylum seekers every year.
Well,
the winter fuel allowance is 1.5 billion a year.
No, I did this the other day. It's 5 million a day. If you work that out, that's 1.5 billion quid, which is exactly what he says he's going to spend.
Plus NHS.
Oh, but don't worry about the 11 million you've given to your mates in the unions. It's a joke, and I don't understand why we are not looking after the people in this country first and foremost. But then I get called every name under the sun. You don't understand what it's like in war-torn wherever. No, I don't. But I come from.
That's not where they're coming from. They're not coming from war-torn countries. They're coming from Vietnam.
I know that.
Albania.
India, Nigeria,
Syria and Afghanistan. They're
There's
coming
no
from
war in India,
and they're travelling through 4 or 5 other countries, getting their asylum applications refused in places like France, and then they come here.
And let's face it, another reason why the population is rising because we have a declining birth rate technically in terms of people in Britain, but immigrants who come here tend to have more kids.
Well, who would want to have loads of kids apart from Jeremy?
Why does this continually come up?
Well, I don't know really.
How many kids have you got?
4.
4. How many have you got?
4.
That's 14 between us. Kev?
He has to lower the tone. He has to swear.
Why is that? Why did you? I mean, thank God, but why did you not have children?
I don't like children much.
You don't like children?
He's the child catcher.
It's fair enough.
Bang bang.
Yeah, he does look like
They tend to like me.
We got
I don't
1.5
know why.
minutes. Sum up where? Just very briefly. Where does it all end? I love this show because we can speak candidly. Where does it all end?
Well, I think it all ends badly for Keir Starmer because it's been another horrible week for him. He's lost his chief of staff, who he handpicked. Right? He's put this maniac in charge called Morgan McSweeney, who is
about 11.
Who is literally an ideologue from the past. You know, he only wants people to vote Labour. He doesn't think you should be able to do anything else. He wants to radicalise Britain. And I think, frankly, we are absolutely so far down the rabbit hole.
Well, and if James Cleverly becomes leader of the Conservative Party, they're not going to be a proper opposition either.
I don't
he said, let's go back to Rwanda. Nothing new. That's the old
It's a
regime.
big problem for Starmer as well. Everybody in Westminster knows this, no matter what party they're in.
What's he going to talk about?
It is too late for him to draw a line under Freebie Gate.
Yeah.
He cannot cure this problem, and it will never go away, and it will be the death
Even
of it.
my 20-year-old daughter at university who thinks that, you know, she's woke, she said, I don't like what he's doing to pensioners. And I thought to myself when she said that, that's really interesting.
What's going to haunt him more, do you think, in 2 or 3 years' time? The winter fuel allowance or Donegate?
The winter fuel allowance forever will be his poll tax in my humble
But they'll always be one and the same in a way. They'll be
But you're right.
integrally.
But I don't think working people think they're anything to do with it. That's it, though. It's out. We've done well. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Steve. That's it from us. Another Clash of the Titans consigned to the dustbin of broadcasting history. Remember, you can catch us throughout the week. This gentleman here does the best breakfast show in the world, 6:30. This man does the greatest evening show. I'm on drive, and this man sits in when
I pick up the scrap.
I'm joking. Remember,
that's Russell Quirk.
remember, you can subscribe to hear us even more on Talk's YouTube channel. You lucky people. See you next Saturday at 9. Ta-ra. Take care. Bye.